Yang.
Hello, nerds!
Hello, nerds.
Hello, nerds!
Hello, nerds! So nerds!
Hello, nerds!
Now with this campaign, bang, dang, it's Andrew. Come roll with the Yang Gang. Hello, nerds.
Hello, nerds. How are you?
You know, people are probably wondering why I'm streaming again, because I just did like a 1 hour stream just a couple hours ago. But Peter, who is the brother of Nerds for Yang, sorry, Nerds for Humanity.
One of the brothers. One of the brothers. We won't mention which one.
A famous brother, a very famous brother. Last time we saw each other in person may have been Christmas dinner. Is that right?
It might be the last time.
Yeah. So, I mean, for full disclosure, Peter and I, what percent of the time do you think we would agree on?
We vehemently disagree on most issues. Yeah.
Like probably more than 90%.
Yes.
Which is
in terms of business, political, whatever. Yeah.
Life,
social mores,
health, romance, art,
yes.
Everything. So
like you're married with kids. I'm single, and that pretty much says it all.
You're living La Vida Loca, as they say in my
each to his own path, my friend. Each person to his own path. Yes.
So one of the things that you've been very passionate about is this whole coronavirus thing.
How long have I been passionate about it?
I think you've been talking about it, I don't know, for weeks, maybe? When do you think was the first time?
I don't know. I have to scroll through the family chats, but I did find videos where I was showing my building of my protective isolation rooftop, and then the equipment, which I all got, was already by mid-February. My freaking, this is heavy duty shit.
Mid-Feb.
Biohazard. Yeah, this is by mid-Feb I had this. By early Feb, I knew I needed to get it. Basically, it's biohazard grade material. So meaning like if there's contamination outside, I could still walk around outside protected, but I don't pretty much plan to go outside much.
Right.
Yeah,
so
this is like a lot better than your N95 mask. Trust me. This thing.
So you're like the equivalent of, there are people who preppers, right? They prepare for doomsday of all various types. You seem like you're pretty you've been preparing for this for a while. Is that fair?
Mentally prepared for 2 months, physically prepared for at least 1 month. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And so I think I take a different position. Okay. I'm more of there's only so much you can do. The mortality rate is a few percent. It's there's no cure. All we can do is flatten the curve and wait for a vaccine.
I agree with you on that. Basically, the government is just trying to, temper down our panic, and they just want to flatten out the curve because, as you know, and you said in your podcast earlier, is that if the infections rate spike up, the hospitals will not be able to cover it. So that's pretty much it.
So what's your plan, man? What are you thinking about? Like, do you feel like you're ready?
Yeah, I'm pretty much fully ready for self-isolation, mentally ready. I mean, I've been preparing food in the freezer. I mean, I have a rooftop, which I can pretty much hang out with me and my 2 dogs. Basically, mentally, like a lot of people in America haven't thinking that we're going to become like Italy or Wuhan. Let's be honest, even though there's been a run on the supermarkets and Walgreens and stuff. And that's because, again, most people are still going out, trying to go about their day-to-day life. And that's kind of normal. And I'm sure that if you flash back Italy 2, 3, 4 weeks ago, probably the same thing. And the same thing in Spain, which is now about to go into full country lockdown. So what I'm doing is mentally, the last 2 nights, normally I go out every night clubbing. Okay. The last 2 nights I stayed in to kind of test run whether I'm capable of not going out. and being happy. And so far, it's okay.
Well, how long do you think you're going to have to do that?
Months.
Months. So what's your plan? Are you worried about, everybody seems to be worried about toilet paper. What's your take on your supplies?
Well, yeah. See, I have supply of stuff. Yeah.
Oh, I see the toilet. Oh, you got some bottled water?
Yeah, I'm not really that worried about it. I mean, I think that's just a panic thing. I mean, like the main thing is you have to have enough soap and hand sanitizer or rubbing alcohol, which I have all of the above. So, and I even have extra protein powder. See, it's not open.
Right, but you won't need that anymore because you're not going out clubbing.
No, I mean, there's protein powders for working out.
All right. And where are you going to be working out? You're going to go to the gym?
So my condo gym is quite small. So until the infections hit, I will probably continue to go there. I'm looking online at Amazon to probably buy a set of dumbbells, like 25 pounds and 50 pounds to kind of do lunges, squats, curls, pretty much I'll be able to do a home workout.
And what about food? Or are you just going to eat the protein powder?
No, I've got food. Yeah, I've got food in the fridge. I mean, I don't want to walk to the fridge to show you. I got food.
But how much food do you have?
I probably have enough for 1 or 2 weeks, to be honest. I don't know. Is that not enough? I don't know. Should I be stocking up?
I mean, I don't know. Well, you know me, I am the opposite. I'm of the mind that this is terrible. It's going to be very disruptive. But I don't see all logistical supply lines and food production coming to a halt because we've closed the schools down. But I don't know. Maybe I might be sort of sticking my head in the sand. I don't know. What you seem more concerned than I am.
I mean, as you know, I've sent a lot of groceries to mom, and I want to make sure she has a 2-week supply. I think a 2-week supply would be a bare minimum.
Mm-hmm.
I'd probably for me, basically you need to make sure you have enough protein sources, because protein is, for me, as you know, we've had arguments on this, is the most important thing. It's more important than carbs or vegetables or fats and stuff like that. You need to maintain body protein so you don't lose muscle mass. So I think I have enough between that and my frozen foods. I got a lot of frozen tuna steak, frozen salmon. I bought a bunch of roasted chickens that I got in the fridge. Yeah.
So you have a few weeks of food, but you're not worried about the stores, because I actually saw a news article about Publix closing down.
Yeah, I saw that on your podcast. Basically, they're not closing down; they're closing at 8 p.m. versus say 10 or 11 p.m. Yeah, and that's just because the stores are so wiped out. The staff need an extra few hours to restock it. Makes sense.
Yeah. I guess the big concern would be if you heard that trucking companies or factories were closing down or food processing plants were closing down. That would be a major issue.
Yeah, I mean, we discussed this. I actually have 2 fridges, which the second fridge is fully stocked with alcohol. So I might have to empty that and then restock that with food.
The second fridge is
this is my backup supply of booze. My emergency booze supply.
Oh, so that's not rubbing alcohol.
No, I have drinking alcohol.
That is for your social gatherings.
Yeah, but I don't think the social gatherings are going to continue. This is spray rubbing alcohol. I should spray that shit down.
Oh, so you were able to get a hold of that. Was that hard to get your hands on?
Dude, I had that months ago, my friend. Months ago.
Oh.
Yes. Months ago. Look at my little treasure trove. This is just a portion of my little treasure trove.
Oh, yeah. Now, you were also on the family WhatsApp chat. Mm-hmm. You were talking about concerns around civil unrest.
Oh, yeah.
What are you
getting me a gun?
Really?
Go out and get me a gun. Yeah.
For real life?
Yeah, when I get my lease, I'm a procrastinator, as you know. So I should have done it weeks ago. Now I'll probably do it in the next few days.
What would be the theory on that? What's the gun going to do for you?
Okay, you look at the public services like the ambulances in the hospitals. If we're going to be anything like Wuhan or Italy, those stuff is going to be inundated. So basically, cops are not going to be able to walk around without full protection, right? To protect us, correct? If you're a policeman, you're going to want to have goggles, you're going to have the respirator and all that, right?
Mhm.
Cops are going to start to fall sick too.
Right.
And then what's going to happen?
So you're worried about the ability of the local government to maintain stability and enforce laws.
Yes, and that's why in the family chat, I've been saying that we should, how shall I say this? Get rid of posse comitatus.
Get rid of
Temporarily.
posse comitatus. Well, wouldn't that be a that would be kind of an extreme, wouldn't it? What are
Well,
you?
you've been criticizing Trump for not being ahead of the crisis, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, what would be ahead of the crisis in your eye? Like really ahead of the crisis, right? Because you need to mobilize military bases for quarantine. You need to mobilize military doctors. You need to have checkpoints. You're going to have quarantine for hot zones. And how are you going to enforce those quarantines, or how are you going to enforce like lockdowns, or basically what, like in I think in Spain or Italy, you can't go out after a certain time now.
Mm-hmm.
So how are you going to enforce that?
Yeah, but I thought I've heard posse comitatus talked about in terms of like the citizens enforcing the law and like local sheriffs and that sort of
No,
thing.
I thought
Is that
posse
what you-
comitatus is that the U.S. president cannot deploy the U.S. military for action on our soil. That is posse comitatus.
Ah, well, so there's a few ways it's used. It was used in. I'll share my screen because luckily we have good old Wikipedia here. You are correct.
Like,
So it's been used since the 9th century in England to talk about like the force of county, basically enabling a group of citizens assembled by the authorities to deal with an emergency. You're talking about the more modern interpretation,
of course.
right?
Yes.
And
Yes, we are in modern times, 2020, my friend.
True. So you're talking about the 1878 Posse Comitatus Act, which forbade the use of the U.S. Army
Yes.
for law enforcement purposes without the approval of Congress.
Yeah, so maybe Congress needs to approve it, or can Trump issue an executive order to delay that or rescind it or whatever, or temporarily ban it?
I think no, because that's a federal law. The president can't. It's a federal statute. I don't think the president can violate that. I think it.
Okay,
it
so
literally
what would be the steps if you were the president, if you wanted to activate the U.S. Army? What would you do?
Well, I wouldn't want to do that, but if I were a president that wanted to do that, I think he would have to get the approval of Congress.
Okay. All right,
And that would be a very serious move because this country was founded on the people, the local people, not having another king sort of enforce laws upon the local people. And this would be a step in the opposite direction, wouldn't it?
Well, the workaround is he could call on all the governors to activate the whole National Guard across the country, and then that's okay. The National Guard is okay. So whether you want to call it National Guard or U.S. Army or Special Forces, whatever, they need to be activated.
Right. Now, the last time,
because we have guns here in America. We have guns here in America, and we have gangs, MS-13, which I don't think there's that many in Italy.
Well, yeah,
and
but there are criminals
China
all
is a
over.
police state. China is a police state, so they've been able to control the situation. I just worry when law and order here breaks down.
So you are not worried about another Kent State type thing where U.S. military open fire on U.S. citizens? Don't you think that's like kind of a big deal?
Well, I think it's a bigger deal when you have a bunch of like people running around in raping, pillaging, and or zombies, whatever.
Okay, but we can agree that we're not there. We're not. There's
Is
no
Italy.
pillaging going. Even in Italy, there's no pillaging going on.
I
Who's
know,
pillaging?
but they're very well. You don't have you talk about Italy. It's a much safer country than the U.S., right? I think. Yeah.
So you're saying U.S. is more dangerous than Italy?
Yeah.
Okay, so what evidence have you seen of U.S. raping and
Don't
pillaging?
you and your people know that there's more guns in America than there are citizens, right? You know
That's
that, right?
yeah, of course. But where's the raping? And you were saying there was these mobs of people, just like
There's nothing
overrunning.
There's nothing like that. There's nothing like that yet. There's nothing like that yet. But if we get zombie apocalypse, what do you think is going to happen? You think people are just going to be like merrily going about doing their business? There's already like people fighting over toilet paper at Costco.
Mm.
You posted that stuff, didn't you?
No, but
Okay, someone else.
someone else on social media. But wouldn't we agree? I mean, everybody out there watching, you could see how the brothers don't often agree on things.
What can we agree on in this topic? What can we agree? Can we agree
Peter?
that the infection rates are going to go up, right? We agree the infection rates are going to go up.
Yes,
we agree that
we can
the
agree on
best
that.
case scenario, the hoped for scenario, which the government is saying or not saying, is that the curve will flatten. And by flatten basically means that the infections will spread out over time rather than hit us all right at the same time. Correct?
Yeah, correct. We agree
And
with
we
that.
know that the fatality rate is between 1% to 3%.
Mm-hmm.
Correct? Okay. But if the infection rate is 78%, that 1% to 3% mortality rate starts to look very big. So
Yeah.
that's what we can agree on.
But that doesn't mean we should order like the U.S. Army to roll tanks into Main Street.
Well, okay. So basically, Trump made a comment about the whole financial side during his presidential address from the White House. And then yesterday, with the CEOs of Walgreens, CVS, and Target, he was like rolling out the mobile testing. If you feel he hasn't done enough, then what do you want him to do? Like, I don't think putting $1,000 in everyone's pocket is going to freaking help, because like businesses are going to starve out of cash. And, if people are making $10,000 a month and all of a sudden they're making zero, I don't think giving them $1,000 is going to help. Like you're trying to solve a social and hygiene and medical problem with $1,000. It's not going to cut it.
I am not advocating the UBI as a solution for Corona. if you ask me if I were president,
yeah, what would you do?
I would take more of a Merkel approach. Angela Merkel's. I know you love her.
Oh, I hate her.
I know. And I would say, look, people, it's happening. Don't fool yourself to think that America is insulated. We're not. Don't fool yourself to think that it's going to go away when the temperature rises in the spring. It won't. You can look at the Southern Hemisphere. It's not happening. So
Singapore is like 80, 90 degrees.
Singapore is hot. And so when Trump says, don't worry, it'll go away in April because it'll warm up, he's not. I know his uncle once taught at MIT. Not impressed. What I would say
he's just trying not to get people to panic, maybe. Let's just hope.
Okay, but that's the problem, because there's a nuance there. You don't want people to overreact and go out and buy like AK-47s, like some people I know. And you also don't want people to think like, oh, well, this is no big deal. I can just stop ordering like General Tso's chicken and I'll be fine. Like there's a middle ground, which is this is the new reality. We need to flatten the curve so that we buy ourselves time to find a vaccine or to develop natural immunity. And that's it. And we need to just prepare to weather the storm. And that's going to be like, that will mean economic disruption due to some businesses that will need to close or slow down. We'll need to support people through that. And that's where maybe UBI can play a role. But honestly, I think making believe like it's not a big deal is not okay. But also making believe that this is like World War III is also not healthy either.
Well, I think it's a lot worse. It's going to get a lot worse before it gets better. So like, I think a lot of Americans, they don't think it's really coming. And I guess, you just have to kind of see where Europe, Italy, and Spain are now versus 2 weeks ago. And, you don't need to be a rocket scientist or genius to project where we're going to be.
Why? Okay, but here's the thing. Now, this is where we're going to disagree again.
Okay.
Why do you think most Americans don't think it's coming?
I have no idea, dude. I have no clue. I mean, that's a very deep question. But, like I even commented, I may have commented on some chats when you were doing your live podcast. But if not, I definitely individually, I was talking to you. You guys were so focused on this whole Yang thing, Klobuchar, whatever, the Iowa thing, right? That during Iowa, when you guys were missing the big picture. I mean, like, who cares, honestly? Like, you guys, I love Yang. With the candidate would have 4%, whatever, of polling. And where the mainstream media was missing out that you had 100% chance this virus was going to hit us. Why the F were they not covering that more than your Democratic primary? I don't get it.
All right. Well, this was the Nerds for Yang channel. Yeah, I wasn't here to cover like every story in the country.
You failed us, Tom. You failed us.
Yes. The charts. Now I've got lots of Corona charts, but
oh my God.
I would say, the president is looked at, has a bully pulpit, right? He has a very large megaphone. And it was an option for him to say, hey, this is a big deal, people. Take it seriously. Take precautions. If anything, if I were him, I would have done sort of at least temperature reads of people coming off planes way earlier, stopping planes from Schengen, but then letting UK through. Like, I don't really see how that helps anybody.
I don't know if you see this. This is a temperature scanner. They could easily have bought this $34 on Amazon.
Yeah.
And you can just press it without touching anyone's forehead. All the Asian countries were using this as SARS, or they have the thermal scans.
Yeah.
When you walk by. I mean, I don't know what's going on, to be honest. So whatever.
Well, in China,
I have this for any girl visiting me before she can come inside. Or before I go inside.
That's a whole new level of safe interactions that you take. Protection. You have to scan them first now. Yeah. All right, but here's the deal. Like in China, you know what they do? When you come out of your condo and you want to come back in.
Oh yeah, you get a little chip. And then
you get scanned.
Yeah.
When you try and go into a store, you get scanned. When you try to go to work, you get scanned. And if you are a fever, you get immediately isolated. You do not get the option to go back to your family to infect them.
And reinfect them. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. By the way, a lot of people are saying that you're very handsome and you don't look like me, which I'm not sure how I should interpret that. But apparently there may be a long. You might develop a fan base here, Peter.
Oh yeah, a fan base with the progressives, huh? Interesting.
There you go. Well, you know what? Okay. That's a lot of the country. So
let me show you something really cool that I got. It's very important to wear. This is protective eyewear. So actually, I got this when I was building my roof for sanding and sawing, but it will work very good when you have the mask on. And you could just walk around and there's no way people can, unless they directly spit on your face or something. You see?
Right. And now, would you ever wear that out in public, or what's your plan? That's not going to help with your social activities.
Hey, you know what? I've started seeing people, not a lot. Some people are starting to walk around with these gloves on, because basically the fingernails can trap dirt. So I'm going to gradually phase in these type of precautions as the social mores will allow it. I mean, if I go out with a freaking biohazard thing like this thing, like there's nothing going to get through this, you know?
Yeah, but is that even? Is it even comfortable?
It's very comfortable.
Like? Can you even breathe with that?
Oh my goodness! This is like I could sleep on this.
Really?
This is used by painters. For painting and also for biohazard, like the military and stuff like that. So, I mean, the full face would be the next level up, you know, then whatever that might
Does it fit?
This fits. Yeah.
Put it on. Let's see it.
Like scuba dive.
You got to put it. Does it? Oh.
Scuba dive. Look, I can even talk. It's great. It's comfortable. It's so comfortable.
How
love it.
often do you have to replace those little pads?
No, these filters are rated for at least 100 hours, and then I have replacement filters. So the great thing is, like, if you go outside, I can just spray it down with Lysol or alcohol, or I have a UVC germicidal lamp, which you know about through the family chats, which basically neutralizes any germs or bacteria within half an hour. So I just probably put that into the bathroom with my UVC light, and it'll kill all the germs. Yeah.
Hey, someone's asking how much does that cost?
This ran me about $59 at Ace Hardware, about a month ago. But I
Right.
doubt they have it now. So back then they were running out of those crappy disposable N95.
Oh, the
filters,
little
which I knew
paper
were
ones.
hor-
Yeah.
They're horrible because they leave gaps, and those are hot. This is comfortable, man. I could literally sleep in this. I can talk with this.
So if you had
And
to
then
go
I have
on a
another-
plane trip, you could actually
Yeah,
put
that
on
would
a
be
whole
the
plane ride.
that would be the one to wear. This is something I got from mom. Like the one I got from mom. This is a rated N99, even stronger than N95, and you could wear this for 50 to 100 hours and refillable. This is more like a comfy. This is more like socially acceptable, I guess. Yes, like this.
But you got yourself the heavy duty one. At least you got mom something. Now,
No, I mean, there's no way mom is going to wear the heavy duty one. I don't think
Yeah,
she's
yeah,
even going to wear this one. Let's be honest.
what about
be
the
honest,
UV
dude.
light? People want to know how much for the UV light. What is that? How
Okay,
does
I
what
bought-
does it even look like? Do you just like wave it over the thing, or what is it?
Okay, so that UVC light
Yeah.
can fry your eyes and also fry your skin. So don't be around it. So it's not like you wave it around and cleaning the room that way. No. You plug it in, you get an extension cord, and then you plug that in from another room so you're not around that damn light.
Oh, it's like a UV bomb.
Yeah. That's what the hospitals are using to sterilize. Yeah.
How much does that thing cost?
That thing only cost me $25. I don't know if you can still find it on Amazon. $25 for the just the bulb, and then I already had the lamp, but just screwed on.
Man, what does it look like?
I gotta go outside. It's just a normal thing.
Have you used it
Of course.
after your lady friends?
This is just like this.
Ah, all right.
A bulb.
Interesting.
Yeah, I mean, that is an extra level of sterilization. Of course, I'm using bleach and wipes. And to be honest, I'm going into self-isolation mode. So there won't be anyone in the apartment, but I might carry the virus into the house inadvertently through my dogs and all that. So we can talk about my dog washing.
Yeah, you have a dog problem because you were concerned about when you
So
walk
here.
the dogs. Yeah.
Yeah. So I found the thing. This is the UVC germicidal thing. I don't know if you can see it. So it kills. This is how it kills the germs. Can you see that?
Yeah. It looks like, it has ozone too.
This one is ozone free. I might get one that's okay. Why are you so scared with ozone?
I'm not scared.
so
I'm just
scared?
asking.
Okay, so the more powerful ones have ozone in it. This one claims it does not produce ozone, but ozone is like if it can cause respiratory problems if you breathe too much. But ozone is more powerful. It can permeate, and kill more bacteria. But I went
It's
with
like
the
a-
ozone free one.
Yeah. I have a ozone thing for my CPAP mask. My
Nice.
yeah. But so your dog, what the hell? What's that thing? What was that glowing
it.
thing?
That's an air freshener, but using UVC light to purify the air. So
Oh
this
my
this
God,
probably
dude.
not so. This is just good for general cold and general flu because it'll just circulate all the room air, and then it runs through that UVC light, and it just kills all the germs. So smart, right?
Mm.
I mean, it's good for general. Like I'm going to use it forever. It's a great thing. It's a
Yeah.
great idea.
Now, what's your concern about the DOGs?
So this is one DOG.
Yeah.
And if you walk the dog, and if there's a lot of infection out there, and I live in Miami, there's quite a lot of homeless, and they will spit and urinate, and if they're infected, then the dog will bring back the virus, and they sleep in my bed. So I'm going to do one big walk with them a day, and then basically use different methods to wash their paws and wash their body before I bring them back into the house.
Oh, what about putting like little shoes on them, like those little blue gloves?
I don't know if that'll be that comfortable, and you know the virus can still get on their fur. They're low on the ground. They're Shih Tzus. They're low on the ground, right?
Oh yeah.
So I mean,
You'd have to put the dog in a full plastic suit
yeah, yeah.
with little
fucking
like
joke.
get a little mask for
joke.
them.
That's a joke, man. That's a joke. I mean, there's no point to be washing my hands and being so careful if I'm just walking the dogs out in public, and basically their hands, or paws are touching all the dirt for a few hours, and then coming back and jumping on my bed. That would be crazy, right?
Yeah, I suppose you could give them a very light bath or something, a spray down.
Why don't you share with them what my latest idea was?
Okay, well, this is when you're gonna lose the audience, which is
Oh my
fine.
god! Oh my god! Share with them.
I believe that you were proposing submerging the
Not
dog,
submerging, floating,
floating
Just
the dogs.
not scuba diving.
Okay, floating them in a hot tub.
Yeah.
And your theory was that the hot tub, I'm guessing, has chlorine.
Hot tub has mild traces of chlorine, so I'm using less chlorine than normal hot tub, but enough to kill germs to keep the hot tub clean of bacteria and viruses. A hot tub runs a temperature of 100 degrees. Miami is 85 degrees, so it's not a huge jump in temperature. So I'm gonna hose down my dogs with cold water, get all the dirt off, and then I've got a doggy life vest, which I'm gonna put the dogs in, and then float them for maybe 1 or 2 minutes, and just let the chlorine and hot water kind of kill the corona, and then maybe rinse them out again. Probably rinse them off again. Yeah.
Yeah, that seems crazy.
I did that yesterday.
Yeah, I would argue that seems like number one. I don't think that's very comfortable for. Why do you need to make it 100 degrees? If it has a chlorine, wouldn't that already kill the virus?
Yeah, no, but 100 degrees is actually just warm water. I mean, I could control. That's a good point.
I would want to make it comfortable for the dogs.
Yeah,
the second thing is I would be a little worried about it drying out their skin.
Yeah, that's the thing. I don't know, man. Like, there's so many things to do. So I could literally just not walk them and just let them poop up on the rooftop and whatever. I could do that. I have a private rooftop, so basically, it's perfect for self-isolation.
That rooftop is part of your. It's almost like how preppers have like a bunker. You have something above
ground, so I get sunlight. And I see the street. I'm at the street corner.
And then that's where you can have your AR-15 when the mobs come after you.
That will be. Yeah.
Oh, by the way, someone's suggesting that you shave them. That's not a bad idea.
Okay, I'm good. They're due for a shave. I can't find their shaver, so I'm getting one delivered today from Amazon. But I'm not going to shave them completely. But yeah, they're due for a haircut.
You could give them a close shave so it doesn't rub up against. By the way, I don't want to sound like like a social justice warrior, but you were talking about people peeing and spitting.
Yeah.
I don't think that's limited just to homeless people. I think there are a lot of people that do that. At least the spitting.
Fair enough.
So let's not like vilify one group if we can.
Yeah. I mean, but the whole point is, if you look in Asia, like Korea, South Korea, and China, they're actually having these trucks and biohazard, suited people go around spraying the floor. I actually see a snapshot of that in Italy somewhere recently too. So that is an issue. So obviously there's corona on the floor. So
yeah.
I mean,
all right. Well, I think in summary, we are in agreement that this is a problem that we need to address it. I think you are really taking a lot of precautions. And I think the risk, in fairness, the risk is if everybody panics, that could actually be quite disruptive. Like, I think the goal is like you want the appropriate response for the risk.
Well, I'm taking basically, I've taken 2 days off, and I'm probably going to just chill out this weekend, just see what happens. Like, basically treat this as a staycation. I mean, you're not leaving the house this weekend. You're staying home, right?
Yeah, I'm working from home. Yeah. Oh, and this weekend. Well, this weekend, I don't know. I might go. I like to go to McDonald's on the weekend, so I might go.
Oh, so healthy. So healthy. Yeah.
Yeah. I'll just like kind of rub myself all over the table.
Okay, gotcha. No, I mean, look, I'm not taking things crazy, so like I'm still gonna probably walk them in the beach. I'm not gonna be going out to any bar.
That's a big sacrifice for you.
Because
you go out, you're not the type that goes out once or twice a month normally. Pre-corona, no. You would go out.
Pre-corona once or twice a week would be a light week.
A light week, so more like three nights a week, 4 nights a week. Four, yeah. So that's a big sacrifice for you. I know.
That's a huge sacrifice. I mean, I think one of the things we could talk about in another podcast, if your audience wants, is how I think this is going to change our social mores and our lifestyle, and going forward. To be honest,
we will have to talk about that at a subsequent one. But before I let you go, I want you to. We do need to talk about. What do you think? I told you what I thought of President Trump's leadership. I feel like he downplayed it too much, and now we're playing catch up. And he seems too focused on how it makes him look versus like what the country needs. But obviously, you and I don't agree on many things. I'm curious where you land on how the president is doing.
I think the talk yesterday on the White House lawn with the CEOs was appropriate. I would like to see, okay, if you don't talk about martial law, okay, but what I would like to see is actually the federal government getting more involved in planning for these hospitals and triage units. I don't really care about the Fed cutting 50 basis points. It doesn't work, or quantitative easing, whatever they're doing.
Yeah. Well, Peter, we have found something we agree on, in that I feel like he talks more about the Dow Jones latest numbers than the isolation units and the additional hospital construction, which is what China did, right? And that's why they have flattened their curve. But the U.S., now you were very excited about the CVS stuff, the Walgreens stuff. The thing is, like, if you test and you get tested positive, I think they're worried they don't have anywhere to put them.
Yeah. Then what? Yeah. I think the U.S. numbers, and I think you're going to agree, which is 2,167 at last count, whatever, is much, much understated because they haven't been testing.
Yeah. If you no one, yeah. So now here's one thing: if you're going to shut the schools down, you do have physical locations for infected people.
That's true. Oh, you know what? One country has started doing, I think it's Italy. They're commandeering hotels.
I could see that. Yeah.
That makes sense,
So, any rate, I will now ask if anybody in the audience has questions for Peter. And we'll take a few questions and then we'll let you go. I can't fault you for being prepared. You can never be over prepared. But I just worry that if people take it too seriously, if people start fighting over masks and fighting over alcohol, the medical kind, and just like panicking, like that can't be good for society. I would hope that we just take more of a measured approach, but you definitely are more prepared than I am. And I guess we'll find out in a few months whether it cost
me nothing to be prepared. It cost me $59 for that thing. It's not nothing. It's chump change.
All right.
And so here's 2 hours of my time.
That's great. That's great, man. Here's the first question. What does Peter do for a living? What does Peter do for a living? How should we answer that?
I believe in passion and love and fun. So I'm a club promoter.
Hence the 4 nights. So you get to work and play at the same time.
That's, that is the American dream. If you do what you love, you're going to do a good job at it.
Are you a good club promoter?
I think so.
All right, man. Have you tested the dogs?
No,
I guess someone's saying, because I think dogs can carry, right?
Yes, there's been a case of dogs carrying it in Hong Kong. So that's why I want to be cautious.
Yeah. Someone saying, hey, look, thousands of people died of the flu last winter. Nobody panicked. What's the big deal with corona?
Well, the corona thing is you're going to have like higher infection rates, and you don't have people going to ICU. Like I don't think that I'm going to die, okay, if I got infected, touch wood.
Mhm.
But there's a small percentage of the population that has no symptoms, asymptomatic. It's like a mild cough, flu, whatever. There is a bigger chunk of them that they have to actually like go to a hospital, and then they have trouble breathing. Now, I've never had like a tube shoved down my fucking throat, excuse my language,
Mhm.
to breathe or pump the water out of your lungs if you got pneumonia. That's not a pleasant feeling, and it's going to screw up your whole lifestyle. I've been working hard to maintain my body and fitness. That's just going to go out the tube if you don't work out and you're in the hospital. I mean, that seems so selfish and naive, compared to death, but it's still serious.
Mm.
So I think it's a lot bigger than the normal flu.
All right. That's now, did you read that up in like WHO, or how are you determining that?
No, I mean, you know the stats, right? I mean, like there's
Mhm.
a certain percentage, I think it's like 10% that needs to go to ICU or whatever.
Mhm.
And that's probably going to be largely the people like over a certain age, 60, with pre-existing conditions. And there's probably like, again, I don't have the numbers offhand, maybe another 10% that are totally asymptomatic. Take a look at Tom Hanks. He doesn't look,
Mhm.
sick or anything like that. Then there is other parts of the population that will need critical care but won't die.
Mhm. Yeah.
So I don't know if I properly answered that question.
I think
Tommy, do you have anything to add?
if I would summarize, I would say you're saying that flu's bad. People die of the flu. You think that clearly it has a higher mortality rate. We know that. So your conclusion is that, well, if it's a 10 times higher mortality rate and it gets spread as much as the flu, that's a pretty big deal.
I think it spreads easier than the flu because you never worry in flu season about shaking someone's hand or, like you might worry about some. Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But anyway,
or surfaces. I don't know.
Clearly the mortality rate is higher. Here's a question from Alex. I think Alex is saying, hey, we're being too hard on the government response because it's very possible that there's all of this work happening behind the scenes to get ready.
That's true. Could be. Yeah, maybe they don't want to panic us. That could be, that I would wish, that Trump comes out later on and says that. That would be a really coup d'etat for him. And that would be like kudos if he had all that stuff planned out and he's just telling everyone to be calm. That would be actually maybe like a proper response.
I don't know. I'm a big fan of transparency, though.
Oh, I see.
So I would say, if I were him, I would say, look, we have all these plans underway. In 2 weeks, every week, I'm going to give you an update and I'll let you know the status of these things. And like, I've got this. But if you try and make it seem like everything's fine and people kind of know everything's not fine, that's not, in my opinion, that's not leadership. But, there's never a right answer to leadership, right? So that's just the way he's doing it. Let's see if I have any other questions. Mr. Crit says he has enough vodka for a month.
When I was shopping yesterday, I just got all that stuff from Trader Joe's and everyone else was stocking up on essentials. Yeah. And then some girl walked by, saw me with all the alcohol. She says, "Oh, I like your style."
All right. Well, I think we got through most of the questions. Well, Jamie agrees that people want transparency, and they're like, if they don't trust what's coming out, then they actually sometimes might think it's the worst case scenario.
Yeah.
All right.
So just a shout out, if there's any hotness out there that is corona free that wants to come self-isolate with me in Miami Beach, somehow get in contact. Somehow get in contact with me.
Yeah. All right, but will you check their temperature?
Of course. I'll do a thorough physical exam.
All right.
And don't worry, I will take care of you. I have plenty of food and, I'll give you protection and survival. Yes.
All right. And well, why don't we do this? We'll have to check in a couple weeks, and maybe you'll be the only one kind of safe, and I'll be here like, half alive because I didn't take it as seriously as you are.
Hopefully not. Hopefully,
Yeah.
let's just see how it goes. I mean, like, really just prepare for the worst and, hope for the best,
All right, everybody. You want to say goodbye, nerds, Pete? Goodbye, nerds.
Goodbye, nerds. I've been following you guys. Bye-bye, Tom. Cheers.
Keep it real.
Bye-bye.